Alright, so I just started recording and I had not even thought about what I was going to talk about. I guess I'll start by saying I recorded a video about Sanders endorsing Clinton and that I was a little bit torn on that, but I think ultimately he made the right decision, especially in lieu of the fact that he is continuing to fight for his ideals and he has announced that he will be launching shortly some successor organizations. In lieu of that, I think he has definitely made the right decision. I think burning down the whole system, assuming that would even happen, and hoping that those, with power would not be able to seize even more power. That's the best case scenario people would, the Bernie or Busters would be hoping for by not supporting Clinton. Worst case scenario, we have a sociopathic lunatic in power. Let's not get too far into that. That's the worst case scenario. Uh, I guess a couple other points I'd like to mention are the fact that the Republican convention was just recently, and honestly, I thought it was quite boring. It received a lot of media attention, and the most interesting part deserved media attention. I think Cruz not endorsing Trump was, it was so awesome. It was really good. It was almost as though it was scripted. Like it will only help Trump really, but just the smile on his face as he waved goodbye when they were all booing him. Oh, it was so good. I think everybody loved that, except for perhaps Trump, but that's not what he said. However, the Democratic convention is going on now as I'm recording this. I think day 2 has finished, and I would say just like the primaries, a lot of the attention is on the Republicans, but the Democratic side of things is much, much more interesting, particularly the tension between uh, the Sanders delegates and Clinton delegates, and the fact that the DNC and the Clinton team obviously wanted this to be, a week-long commercial for the Democratic Party, and it's kind of gotten a little chaotic from what I can tell. But I suppose I'm here mostly to talk about the emails, the Democratic Party emails, which have been really fascinating and seem to confirm what the hardcore Bernie supporters were thinking the entire time. And from my point of view, it's pretty obvious. It's not that people were actively rigging the election, it's that the system itself is rigged and it's harder. Not rigged as in intentionally set up to make people fail. It's entirely possible that that was some of it, but it, the deck is stacked against the grassroots candidate, the non-establishment candidate, and I think that's kind of the point when people talk about that. A lot of even Bernie fans try to say that Clinton is corrupt in a quid pro quo way, and whether or not that is or is not true, there's not a lot of evidence to say that it is true, if any, but the corruption people are talking about with the Democratic Party isn't the quid pro quo corruption generally, or at least the more nuanced position. It's not that kind of corruption. It is the necessary perversion of values so as to fit within a system of power. It's when the values and the policies of the party are based upon an internal uh, what's the right word here? An internal balance of power, an internal structure of power, as opposed to what is right or what is popular or what is democratic, I suppose. And what we have seen from the emails, it does confirm people's suspicions of what was going on. Um, it's not hardcore proof, it's just more onto the pile. But what we've really seen in the emails is that it was a systemic bias against the Sanders campaign from every level of the organization. So when we see emails where people are sending emails to their major donors offering them positions, or asking for requests of what position on what board these large donors will receive. Okay, we don't know for a fact that, say, Hillary Clinton was offering these positions, or that these positions were actually offered if these weren't just lone wolf people going off on their own accord. But what we are seeing is that there is just that tilt, that bias towards these things, exactly what we and every Bernie supporter and a lot of people who aren't even Bernie supporters can see, and that is that the whole thing is skewed towards the establishment, towards the internal power structures, and it's at every level, and you can see it even just through the language of how people refer to Sanders. And so even if you don't see this as confirming your suspicions that, oh, the party was actively working against him in that, I don't know, some conspiracy about rigging the vote tallies or something like that, you can see that that kind of enmity towards his campaign exists at every level. And I mean, the party is meant to be neutral, so at least at the very minimum, you can see that they are not neutral, and that that is probably going to be reflected in their worldview. My computer beeping at me, and yes, in their decision-making process. And these things are exactly what Sanders talks about when he talks about an establishment. So that's what I've seen in the emails, and I'm really, really interested to see any more emails being released. And I am hoping that Hillary Clinton is the next president of the United States. And I guess I'll leave it at that. So I'll see you next video.